Good morning, folks. How are we all doing today? My name is Matt Downs, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about using databases for historical research. Now, the database I like to use most is Ebscohost, and subsequently this Ebscohost is also carried out through the Cal State Long Beach University Library, so that's a lot of fun. First part about database is choosing, which databases I want to go to. Well, right now, I'm looking at America, History, and Life, but I might want to change up or include other databases. So I'm also going to include historical abstracts because that's more of a world history site, and we want American History and Life. Okay, and we can also select all, deselect all, and that might bring out some crazy stuff. We'll see. We're going to click OK. Before I start looking into sources, I want to know what kind of sources I want to be having. So I want to link to full text sources, which means that the whole article is going to be there. And I'm not going to have a problem looking for, missing things. I also want my sources to be peer-reviewed. And if they're peer-reviewed, that means someone else has looked at them while after the author wrote it. So that means people in the field have looked and answered at these articles. So I can really narrow it down to what I want here in this first page, from, when it was written to what kind of publication it is to even what languages. And now normally I would say, put this in your own language or select, multiple languages that you speak. But for right now, I'm going to just put all. So next we want to talk about, where do we want to find our stuff? Well, it's all based on your thesis, and your thesis is always going to be, what's the initial question you have about your topic? So, in honor of all those people in Hong Kong, I wanted to look more at Chinese revolutions. So I'm just going to type that into my search bar. And right now, I can select in the database how it is to look for it. So I can find, is all the text in my box there gonna be showing up? Is it an author? Is it a title? Is so forth? I'm just gonna leave it blank for right now and see what happens. Alright, so now we have come to this next page, and we have 157 sources that we can use. And all of them are going to be really cool. Now, we have things like Chinese Revolution, study of post-war nationalist government policies. That sounds pretty fascinating. The impact of 1949 Chinese revolutions on Latin American Chinese community, and so forth. So, now, this is a lot of information that we can go through, and if we want to make it smaller, we can. And there's ways of doing that. And we're going to look here on the left-hand side, and the left-hand side is going to tell us, where can we make it smaller? These are all the current search conditions, which means that these are everything that we currently have set up. And if we wanted to make it smaller, or make less articles, we can play with it. We're going to start here at the publication date. If my publication date is newer or older, we can set a period. So I want only the newest stuff. I want all the stuff that's super new. So I'm going to actually move this bar up to 2000. That's up. So we have the last 20 years of material going into it. And we went from 150 to 130. So, let's keep looking. We can do source types. And right now it seems like it's only journals, but if there were books or movies or things, you can go through here. Let's talk about subject. Well, I wanted to look specifically at Chinese Revolution, so I'm going to go to subject. I can go to China. I can go to... Oh, no, it went away. You can go to the Cultural Revolution. So you can keep moving your terms. And I went from 150 to 13 in just those 2 hits. So if you're specifically looking at, these Chinese cultural revolutions in the 1960s, for example, that's a lot of where this is going to come from. So you can see some of the titles here are super interesting, super relevant. We're going to start with the very first article. So there's local politics in the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Below that is subjects. So those are what this is going to be about a little bit. But let's click on it and see what happens. After you click on it, you're going to come to a second page. And this page is going to include the authors, the source, which is super important to see, where it came from, what it's talking about, and so forth. But the most important part is going to be down here, which is the abstract. And the abstract is basically a brief description of the article. So if I want to read through that real quick, I can find out what exactly the article is going to be about. So right now we know that this is about regional conflicts in China in the 1960s and the different cultural and political aspects of the Chinese Cultural Revolution that's going on. So this looks super interesting. I'm super interested. So I can go up here to the left, and if I want to read the whole article, I can talk about linked full text. So let's try that out. So while that loads, we're gonna, oh, here it is. So we're linking to the full text, and as you can see, this is the whole article, and I can access it, super, I'm speed reading, and speed reading, and we can go through the whole thing. Of course, you'll get to read through that later. Now, I really like this article. I read all of it, and now I want to save it somewhere. Well, how can I save it? If we go over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see all these tools that we can use, which include, move that, all these tools we can use, which include different ways to do that. We can share it, send a link, do all this stuff. If I want to use the immediate website, Ebscohost comes with a folder, so you can keep all the stuff in one place. So I'm going to click Add to Folder. Now, you're going to see up here that I have a folder in my upper right-hand corner, and if I click on that, lo and behold, it shows up right here. If you're not signed in like I am, the folder is temporary, so it's going to disappear. Well, next I can say I can save it to my computer, or I can email it to myself, or I can even save it in my Google Drive. Well, let's click on that and see how that works. So we have a window that pops up, and we can go through that whole process to save it. Now, I know the authors and thing, but if you're having trouble citing for your bibliography, then you can go to the cite page, and that will actually tell you how to cite it in your article. And it also goes into different ways of citing. So I would want to cite it MLA format. So, well, I don't want the AMA or the APA. I don't want any of this. So I'm going to go all the way down. I'm a big fan of Chicago Turabian, but that's a side note. But I want to cite it in the MLA format. So I'm looking for the MLA, and then this right here is the format. You can just copy and paste that. Boom. And that can go into your article. And we're going to go back to the result list and see what else would happen. So that is a basic tutorial about your Ebscohost and how you can find the perfect sources. If you want to continue to really expand on your things, you can search for more stuff. So if I say I wanted the Chinese Revolution and I wanted to talk about Mao Zedong and his Cultural Revolution, wow, look at that. Right now I have it set up to where I can have the Chinese Revolution and Mao Zedong. So I'll click on that. No search, but remember we had all those parameters set up so we can go back. And that's Ebscohost. So I hope you enjoyed, and let's get to learning. All right, bye now.